Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Weeball.
Today we're going to be doing the part 1 of how substance abuse can affect our mental health, and we're specifically going to be talking about alcohol today. That sounds so funny.
We're filming this after the New Year, so Happy New Year. I hope everyone's starting their year off super great and a bunch of goals. I know you have a fun activity planned for your New Year, so you're a little...
What's
it?
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's
so
like,
fun.
what's my fun activity?
You're like, wait. Yeah, no, that's so cute.
Okay. So let's start off with what is substance abuse. Again, this is a part 1 of a 2-part series. So according to the Mayo Clinic, drug addiction or substance use disorder is a disease that affects the brain and behavior, leading to an inability to control drug use despite harmful consequences. It can begin with casual or prescribed use and progress as tolerance builds, causing people to need higher doses and experience cravings and withdrawal symptoms when they stop. The risk and speed of addiction vary by drug, but recovery is possible with support from healthcare providers, loved ones, and treatment programs.
Do we have anything to elaborate on that for?
Yeah, so essentially, if anybody that you know or you yourself takes like an anxiety medication, any kind of medication that directly affects the brain or changes the brain or the brain chemistry is a lot more addictive because your brain can essentially adapt to that drug and need that drug to the point where you build up a tolerance level and you need more of that drug. Yeah. So if anyone you know takes an anxiety medication, more likely than not, they're actually increasing dosages every couple months or years, depending on their doctor, so that it works.
So you're able to overcome that tolerance.
Right. That's why people like take anxiety medication as very serious, because it's like kind of a medication that you can't ever stop.
Because you have to keep taking it.
Right.
Because then if you don't take it, your body's so dependent on that. Oh, I didn't think of it like that. That's cool. Okay.
And so alcohol, drugs, any kind of substance, it's kind of the same idea, because it may not be directly changing, well, it is kind of changing the brain chemistry in a way, but it does affect your brain. Like, it changes your mood and certain things that stem from your brain.
Which is why people turn to it, because it makes you feel euphoric, or it makes you forget your bad thoughts or anything like that. But
exactly.
Some of the most substances are alcohol, marijuana, and nicotine. They're very, I guess, like as a college student, these are addictive, and these are 3 things we do see a lot in our community. Mm-hmm. So,
and I will say that there are a lot more that are.
Oh, way more. Yeah.
There are a lot of we have
MDMA,
drugs that are, popular, that are prescribed, illegal,
cocaine,
all kinds of stuff. But the 2 main ones we're going to be focusing on in this part is alcohol, and in the next part we're going to be doing a deep dive on marijuana. Mm-hmm. So what exactly is alcohol? What is it made of? And how is it made? So let's actually start off with the definition of addiction. So you can actually get addicted to anything. You can get addicted even to exercise.
You can get addicted to people.
Yeah, you can get addicted to absolutely anything. The way addiction works is a dopamine reward and pain system, so that can happen in any case. But with substance abuse, or with substance in general, like drugs and alcohol, these directly go and affect your dopamine levels, which makes it easier to get addicted to. But with exercise, for example, or something that requires hard work, it's harder to get addicted to that, because you have to put in the effort, which causes pain first, and then a pleasure release. So that's a whole other thing that we'll do a deep dive on our episode on dopamine. But I just wanted to kind of talk about addiction and how you can get addicted to essentially anything.
Yeah, and then we can elaborate more on what alcohol is made out of and all that. But alcohol is mostly made out of ethanol, which are primary psychoactive ingredients that are produced through fermentation, and then water and sugars and carbohydrates, and wine and beer are also made through that fermentation process. And wine is primarily made out of grapes, and beer is made out of barley. And then hard alcohol, known as spirits, are made out through the fermentation of sugars. And hard alcohol is much more stronger than wine and beer, because it's not only is it fermented, but it's also distilled, which essentially makes the fermented product more heated, and the water evaporates, and the whole thing, but it makes the alcohol more concentrated. So
yeah. So with hard alcohol or hard liquor, whatever you want to call it, it's stronger just because alcohol is more concentrated. So that there's more alcohol in a smaller amount of that, right? So like, for example, if we were talking in terms of alcohol, if you took a shot of wine, if you took a shot of like vodka, for example, the vodka is going to be stronger because the same amount is more concentrated in vodka.
Yeah.
So if you notice, a lot of people that are addicted to alcohol, most of them are addicted to spirits. People do get addicted to like
spirits or spirits.
Is it spirits or spirits?
No, it's spirits. Spirits is a different thing.
So spirits, okay. Most of them do get addicted to spirits. People do also get addicted to wine and beer, but it's less.
Yeah.
People are less addicted to that.
Yeah, it's I've never heard of anything where people are addicted to like wine or beer, but I know people are addicted to like cause can the same feeling of being like drunk on like hard liquor versus being drunk on wine, is that the same? Like,
well, it is. So
you know what I mean?
If you're talking about alcohol percentage, there is more alcohol in hard liquor, so it's easier to get drunk off of a small, or not drunk, but like feel psychoactive feelings, I guess.
But my question
off
is like,
of hard liquor. But
you know
yes,
how
you can still feel the same way if you drink wine or beer, but you need you need significantly more beer to drink. Okay. But and for wine, you do also need more wine to drink, because I think like if you take a normal bottle, I think a bottle of wine is like 7 to 10% alcohol.
Okay. Whereas like hard liquor is like.
But if you take like, there's that one alcohol, that vodka brand, it's like 70% alcohol. So it's like,
oh my god,
that's significant. That's 7 times more in the same bottle.
Whereas like if you take like a single shot, you're like hooked off that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So we're gonna go into more about.
Wow, we actually sound like alcoholics.
Yeah,
we're
like
not
70%, like 7%, like grapes we're fermentating. Yeah, no,
we just did a lot of research because we want to make sure we give you guys real information.
I would definitely say like this part 1 is more about information, whereas part 2 is more like elaborating on our thoughts and all that. So
yeah,
talking more about alcoholism, the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, it classifies the alcoholism as a disorder, which is a chronic, relapsing brain disorder marked by compulsive drinking, loss of control over alcohol intake, and negative emotional states when alcohol is unavailable, which is kind of like withdrawal. I can never say
withdrawal.
It right. Thank you. Withdrawal symptoms, because if you're waking up every day, drinking a bottle of like, taking shots of like liquor, and then it's like you're doing the same thing every single day, and you stop doing that, then it's like your body's gonna go through like nausea, vomiting, all that, because your brain is so used to that.
So alcohol use disorder exists on a spectrum, much like pretty much any other mental disorder that we've talked about. So there's different types of like stages on the spectrum. So they range from mild dependence all the way to more severe, and then the last stage is alcoholism. So there's 3 main stages in the whole addiction cycle. The first one is binge/intoxication, and this is where people drink for pleasure, reward, and they just reinforce this behavior. So when people, especially if you take like college students, a lot of them are going to be in this state of binge/intoxication for a long time. So you'll probably meet more people that are in this binge intoxication state more than you'd meet people that are at the very last alcoholism state, because binge intoxication is just you reinforcing that when I drink, I have fun, essentially. And then you have the negative effect /withdrawal, you have unpleasant physical and emotion symptoms when you're not drinking, driving further use. So this happens with prolonged use. So if you drink all the time, and especially if you drink when you're emotionally unstable, that
something
can, in quotation marks, make you feel better.
Yeah.
And therefore now you feel worse, but you don't actually feel worse. You just feel the same way before you had alcohol.
Yeah.
But then your brain starts to realize, oh, but I actually like how I feel when I'm drinking alcohol. So then you drink more alcohol.
It's a depressant, and you're getting so euphoric that you're basically forgetting about your feelings and your thoughts. That when you're off of it, even though that feeling might have been normal before you drank alcohol, now it's going to feel heightened because of did that make sense?
Yes,
okay,
that makes sense. Because it's like, not, for example, if I was a depressed individual, and I had some stuff going on in my family, whatever, and I reach for alcohol to make me feel better, right? I feel better, always in quotation marks, because you don't actually ever feel better. You feel better when I'm done feeling that like high of the alcohol and I go back to normal. I still feel the same way I felt before, but now I actually even feel worse because I have the withdrawal symptoms of the alcohol itself.
Because like, I always say it wrong, do you know what I'm talking about?
Benzoyl peroxide?
No, benzoyl peroxide, benzodiazepine, something. Okay, now I have to say it.
Chemist right here?
No, now I have to say it right. I think that is what the anxiety medication is.
Pyridine?
No, I have to get it. No, I lied. That is not the medication for anxiety.
Future doctor here,
yes,
by the way.
I got it. It's like a depressive, but it acts the same way as alcohol, and it's just slowing down the brain activity. It is used for anxiety.
Oh, it is?
I was right.
What's it called?
Benzodiazepine.
Oh.
I said it wrong.
Okay.
Benzodiazepines are also known as depressants, also used for anxiety, which Diksha referred in the beginning. She mentioned like the same effects as anxiety. That's why you have to increase the tolerance and all that.
And also, we will go into like the actual specifics of how alcohol affects your brain in just a second. We just kind of want to give you guys a little recap of that. And then the last stage is going to be the preoccupation / anticipation stage. And this is when you are essentially obsessively thinking about alcohol, and this is now affecting your daily life and decision-making skills. And also, if any of you guys kind of know about like neuroplasticity, and I think on social media we always talk about it in a positive way, but when you are continuously using alcohol or any kind of drugs, there are unwanted changes that happen in your brain structure.
It affects the prefrontal cortex?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
It affects your decision-making skills.
So, prefrontal cortex. And that's why people actually, even though the legal drinking age is 21, people actually say to start drinking, if you want to start drinking, when you're 25. Because that's when your prefrontal cortex is, like, mature. And then it's not going to start growing. Because basically, you drinking alcohol is affecting that, like, part of your brain.
Yeah. And then, it makes it difficult to quit even if you stop drinking for a while, just because of the way your body
Which is why people go
withdrawal symptoms. Yeah.
Rehab.
So it's like, in this case, substance abuse actually affects neuroplasticity in a negative way because now you're reinforcing bad behavior, essentially.
Basically, yeah. And that's why people have to go and get external help. It could be rehab, it could be Alcohol Anonymous, it's AA, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And then,
and if you're also in college or school, I know there's a lot of resources out there to help with that. And then, is there an okay limit? Because I think that's everyone's biggest question. Is alcohol actually dangerous if you drink it in a normal limit? So alcohol is a drug, for those of you guys who don't know that. And no, there is not an okay limit. So alcohol is a carcinogen.
Oh, so this causes cancer.
Yeah, alcohol is a carcinogen, and no amount is healthy. I want to reiterate this. No amount is healthy. There are people out there that will say red wine is good for your heart.
Oh, God, no.
It is better for your heart than vodka. But it's not better than, like, orange juice.
Can't.
So, keep that in mind. No amount of alcohol is good for you. However, the standard drink amount is 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of spirit, which I believe is one shot.
One shot.
Half a shot, maybe.
Half a shot. Yeah.
Half a shot.
Holy.
And I think that your body can actually only dilute I think your body can only dilute 1.5 ounces of liquor every hour. So that's why you get drunk, because your body's not able to. I think it's 1.5. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It might be 1, but
okay. It's also our body. It like wow, that sounded so weird. Did you hear me? My accent came out.
No,
I
thought it was
my body. No, basically, I learned this in biochem, but you're gonna learn this soon. But I want to say it right. I don't want to say it wrong for the video, but I know it's creating an abundant amount of acetaldehyde. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And that's toxic for your body.
Oh.
And because you're taking so much, that's why they, like, if you take a small amount, your body's able to convert it in, like, abundant, like, a proper amount. But since you're intaking so much alcohol, it's converting it, and it's a buildup of, like, toxins in your body, and it's not good for you, so, yeah.
Yeah. And to go off of that, I also want to mention that there are some older studies that, again, say that some type of alcohol is good for your heart and has diabetes benefits. But those studies are flawed, and they're incorrect. For the alcohol that is produced in today's, so I want to say this, like, the alcohol that is produced now that is like processed and made is not good for your body.
So like it was different in the past?
Yes. So I actually learned this. I was talking to my mom about this. When I went to India, I discovered that there's actually a naturally produced alcohol beverage called Kalu in Telugu. I'm not sure what they called it in other languages, but it's actually in English it's palm wine. Yeah, in English it's palm wine, and that if you drink that naturally produced alcohol with no preservatives or additives in there, it can potentially offer benefits. And that too, obviously, in moderation. So let me explain how this works. So when you collect it, it's like you have to get it from a tree. They get it in the morning. When you collect it, it's actually not alcoholic. It's sweet when you drink it. It tastes like similar to like coconut water.
Oh, okay.
It's very sweet when you drink it. So if you drink it as soon as they bring it, it's not alcohol. You're not gonna have the same. You're not gonna feel like it's
the fermentation process.
Yes. If you keep it in your house, you store it, and it ferments over a period of 8 to however more hours, it becomes more alcoholic, and the longer it ferments, the stronger it gets. So.
And I'm talking like regardless of alcohol. Have you noticed the items that fermentate kind of have that small hint of like alcohol smell?
Yeah, it's the ethanol that forms in
crazy?
there. Yeah. So if you take like Kalu, like palm wine in English, that is naturally produced, not on some like buying it from a store, but if you actually go collect it yourself and ferment it, it can potentially offer some benefits.
Okay.
But you're also not going to feel the same high that you feel with alcohol. Like the alcohol that we get now. It's not to say that you can't get addicted to that too. Obviously, if you binge drink that too, it's gonna be bad.
But obviously, there's another more potent version of it. So, oh god.
Exactly. Okay, now the part everybody's waiting for.
What does alcohol do to your body? I feel like people, maybe some of the viewers might know, but we can go more in depth about the specific parts of your brain and how it's affected.
I actually think that a lot of people think that alcohol only affects your liver, which is not correct.
She affects everything.
Yeah.
But basically, we can talk about the neurotransmitter GABA. I would say GABA for some reason. But GABA is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in your brain, and it deals with like muscle tone, sleep, coordination, regulating anxiety, and alcohol actually increases your GABA activity. And because of that, it's going to have excessive inhibition of brain signaling. It's going to lead to relaxing, reduced anxiety, slurred speech, poor coordination. And because it's inhibiting that, when you're off of it, it's so like, it just feels so different. Like you can tell,
And then another one is glutamate. I hope that's the right way to say it.
Glutamate, you got
glutamate. So the normal function of glutamate in your body, also all of these neurotransmitters we're talking about already exist in your body. They're not coming from alcohol.
Yeah.
It's just the chemical components of alcohol can
either inhibit it or excite it.
Yeah. So the normal function is glutamate is the main excitatory.
You got it. Excitatory.
Excitatory neurotransmitter, and it's essential for learning, memory, and cognition. And it's the most common excitatory neurotransmitter in your body. So there's like plenty of it, right, in your body. And then alcohol inhibits that. So when you talk about how like we don't make really good decisions, it's because alcohol is physically affecting glutamate. It's not just like some magic reason that we get drunk and then it's like it's literally affecting.
It's inhibiting it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's inhibiting a neurotransmitter that affects memory, and this can cause blackouts and slow thinking and poor judgment.
So the next one is dopamine, our favorite. That is released in response to pain, anything, pleasure, reinforcement, but with alcohol, the brain associates alcohol with like reward over time, and this can reduce the brain's actually releasing dopamine to a stimulus that is less than alcohol. So it's like, you know how like you get dopamine from getting a good grade, like it's the same thing as like drinking alcohol.
Yeah. So to kind of expand on that, the way dopamine works is like, we're gonna go into this a little bit more in our episode on dopamine, but dopamine gets released at a certain level based on certain reward systems, right? So like Shani said, if you get a good grade on a test, you have a certain amount of dopamine that gets released for that. Mm-hmm. But now alcohol what do you call it? Increases dopamine release. So if alcohol, so getting a good grade is here on like a scale.
Drinking alcohol is here.
Yeah, so if getting a good grade here, and like you have the normal rate of dopamine. So when you get this, your dopamine spikes, goes back down. But now alcohol is up here, right? So then your dopamine, this is now your threshold level for dopamine release. So now you get a good grade. It's not gonna.
Sorry. Yep. Like, it's bothering me.
It's not gonna. You're not gonna see a peak.
Yeah.
In release, because now this threshold is a lot lower, and now the threshold is just higher for dopamine release. So over time, even though in the moment you're gonna get a sudden increase of dopamine, over time alcohol actually increases the threshold to a dopamine release, and therefore you're just not gonna have, your dopamine levels are not gonna react to a smaller stimuli.
Yeah.
Just because it's just not causing that much, it's just not giving you that surge of dopamine anymore. And that's a really big reason why over time people start to drink more and more alcohol, because therefore that limit is not enough.
Yeah. Well, serotonin, I feel like I never knew serotonin played such a big part in all this. Like, I didn't really know what serotonin was, but until I started like looking into it during like MCAT setting. But serotonin is basically the feeling of satisfaction, and a lot of these drugs either inhibit that completely, so that's why you have to keep taking more to feel satisfied or to get that high. But serotonin, its normal function is to regulate the mood, the sleep, appetite, emotional stability. And alcohol will temporarily, again, like I said, inhibit serotonin signaling, but increase serotonin. But
over time you'll have like long-term dysregulation. Just like, so serotonin and dopamine are kind of similar in the way that there's a threshold, there's peaks and spikes. And like dopamine, serotonin does increase in the moment, but over time it messes up the entire cycle. So then
that's why you have to end up taking more to feel that satisfaction.
Exactly. So in the short term, you're gonna have like things like mood elevation and like happiness and like whatever.
Yeah.
But in the long term, you're gonna end up with depression and anxiety, which, like Shwani said, is just gonna fuel your binge drinking.
We don't want that.
So under normal conditions, your brain properly controls the release of all of these neurotransmitters so that you're not overstimulated with reward pathways or inhibitory pathways. But alcohol essentially is disrupting this entire cycle. So eventually the brain adapts and stops responding to smaller stimulus, which we've talked about in the dopamine cycle. But this essentially causes tolerance and dependence, and then therefore you start drinking more. So for all of those, for anyone that has a substance abuse problem, people always think that you can just quit, but you can't.
It's so hard.
You can't quit. Yeah, you can't quit, because I think people often forget that
they're just like, stop.
People often forget that there is a physical response to this alcohol that is happening in your brain that is like, it's going to change you as a person if you stop. So if you stop, there are literally neurotransmitters that are now changing the way they react because you have stopped putting a substance into your body.
And not only that, addiction can be fueled by the environment you're in, the genetics. If you have a family member that has a prior like history with addiction, you can get that. And it's easier said than done when someone is like, oh, just quit. You might have so many underlying like factors behind that it's like you might have to seek professional help too. So
exactly. And I think when you approach anything that is related to mental health, always make sure you're a little bit educated on how it works. That way you are not just telling somebody like it's easy to quit or it's easy to do this or it's easy to do that, but it's probably not. Like the person is probably not able to, because the whole point of addiction is that as a person it's affecting your body negatively, but you're still continuing to do it. And the whole reason that you're continuing to do it is your brain signaling pathways.
And it's not, I wouldn't say like, I know it's like your brain is part of your body, but it's like it's not your fault. It's like your body is the one that is in charge.
Exactly.
And that's why mental health is so important, because there's such a difference between like physical health and mental health that it's like it's like you feel like you're not in your body.
Right, because I think mental health does take a lot more discipline than physical health does, just because it's a lot harder to see the mental health, the changes. It's slower, so that it's slower. You have to be a lot more patient,
more diligent with it, because it's you have to put in so much work.
Right. So tying it all back to mental health,
to what we talk about and we evolve. So.
Yeah, alcohol and mental health are very closely connected, like we've been talking about. It is a depressant, and it disrupts the brain chemistry and can worsen symptoms like anxiety, depression, mood swings, and impulsive behavior over time.
Yeah.
So not only can it physically affect your brain and neural pathways and neurotransmitters, but it can also affect the mind, right? It can also affect the way you feel. And sometimes, you know, like when you feel things, like it's hard to explain how you feel, and you can just feel bad and not be able to explain
And like
it.
adding on to that, like you may think alcohol is actually like your feelings go away, you're happy, like you don't think about your thoughts, but it's actually in the end making it worse. Like if you have anxiety and you are drinking, your anxiety is going to get worse, your depression is going to get worse. Yep. Especially if you're already taking medications for anxiety. Yeah, that benzodiazepine, or I keep saying it wrong, but that itself is a depressant itself. And then you're taking alcohol. I don't think you're allowed. I'm not sure if you are allowed to take both of them at the same time.
But I'm sure there are people that do it, right?
Yeah.
And so I know we've talked about a lot of like,
Just
you
like,
shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do
don't
this, what's happening,
yeah.
but we're gonna end this off on a good note. Can you overcome an alcohol addiction?
Yes, you can.
It is 100% possible to overcome an alcohol addiction. How you go about this depends on a lot of factors, like where you are on the stage, severity, and on your well-being in general. So if you know somebody that is affected by alcohol addiction, you can overcome it. And again, we're just gonna let you guys know some helplines and support numbers for anybody that's struggling, and we're also gonna put it on the screen and also in the description below. So if the number is 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
And then SAMHSA's National Helpline is a free, confidential, 24/7, 365-day-a-year treatment, referral, and information service in English and in Spanish. And these are for individuals who are facing mental or substance use disorders. And that number is 1-800-662, and then it's HELP. And HELP is 4357. So yeah, and all these sites actually are on our website. So that 988 like suicide hotline is on our website. If you scroll down, you can see that we have 3 hotlines listed. But yeah,
and if you're a college student or someone in high school, I'm sure the universities actually has a lot of resources for someone that is struggling with substance abuse. So
especially if you go to like a party school like we go to,
yeah,
like they definitely have those.
So please make sure to check out that. And even if you're not suffering with an alcohol addiction or you don't know somebody, it's really important to make sure you have these numbers and you know where to go if you do end up struggling with one. So just make sure that you're familiar with that.
If you ever want to rant, if you ever know someone, feeling someone, like shoot us, like send us a text on the DMs, like we'll text that.
Yeah, feel free to always give us a text. We try to respond to all of our comments too.
Yeah.
So comment on this video, on our Instagram, whatever it is. If you guys want to talk to us, we are always there.
We're always there.
But that is a good way to wrap up this episode.
Again, this was super informational, not our typical format, but the reason why we wanted to do this was kind of give awareness for this, and then our next episode for the part 2 will definitely be more like on our thoughts and how we feel about this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
And stay tuned for next week's episode on substance abuse part 2 about marijuana. Bye guys.
Bye.